What's going on, everybody? Jared here from jaredpoland.com. So Nikon puts out two new lenses last night, a 16 to 35 f4 with VR, interesting, and I guess the long rumored 24 1.4. I want to give my feelings on it. Obviously, I haven't used them if they're not available to be used yet, but I'll give my take on all of that. So you have the 14 to 24 2.8. You have a 24 to 70 2.8. So now they throw in there a 16 to 35 f4 with VR. I don't understand VR on a wide-angle lens. I don't. I mean, you're already drawing from a large area, so you can shoot at much slower shutter speeds. So I don't really see the need to handhold or to have the VR in a wide angle. I think they do it because consumers think that the VR is the end-all be-all in terms of, shooting. If you're shooting inanimate objects, VR is going to work. But for the people that don't know how VR works, if you're shooting somebody that's moving and you don't have enough light and your shutter speed is going to be super slow, the person's going to blur anyway. But the background is going to be nice and sharp. So if you want a really sharp-ass background and a blurry subject, then that's where the VR is going to help. VR is an interesting animal. It's good in certain situations, and in a wide-angle lens, I just don't see it as a necessity. Also, it's a $1,200 and some lens for the 16 to 35. That's not terrible, but the 14 to 24, another $500. 24 to 70, another four something, 500. I mean, they're pretty similar lenses in cost, and those are 2.8 lenses. I'm sure people will like the 16 to 35 because it's going to be lighter, easier to travel. I still don't have a lens slower than 2.8 in my bag. I'm not a big fan. The last f4 lens I had was the 12 to 24 DX, but there was nothing wider at the time, and that was an f4, and it was a really good lens. That was the only f4 I've really ever owned since being a pro. I have the 14 to 24 here. So my feeling is I love wider. 14 is a hell of a lot wider than 16 in this case. Yes, this is a heavy lens. Yes, it's expensive. I still like it because it's a 2.8. But we know, again, with bumping your ISO, shooting at f4 isn't as big of a deal. But I love this lens. I primarily shoot the 14 to 24 at 14. I think that the 24 to 70, 24 to 70 on the D3S, I think the 24 to 70 is sharper at 24 than the 14 to 24 is at 24. So I use this lens at 24 opposed to using the 14 to 24 at 24. But really, when I'm shooting with the 14 to 24, I primarily leave it at 14 because wide is what I'm going for. I'm filling the frame with the subject. I'm getting close to it, but I'm showing the whole scenery and everything that's there. That's why I like that lens. So 16 to 35, it's right in the middle. No, I'm not getting it. I don't believe that I would want that lens. I like what I have. I like both of the 14 to 24. People will just say too heavy, 14 to 24, 24 to 70. Another time it's too heavy. For an amateur, go for it. $1,200, $1,300, not that bad. But if you want wider, I think the 14 to 24 is a better lens. It's heavier, it's bigger, it's more expensive, but it's going to be a better lens. Again, don't need the VR. I don't understand that. Now on to the 24-1.4. Will I buy it? At this point, I can say no. But we know that that's going to be an awesome lens. They added a new coating called the SICK coating, S-I-C. I just read that. I thought nano coatings were the shit, and now you've got SICK coatings. So SICK coatings are the new shit. They're taking it back. So obviously haven't used one. Don't know anything about it. Saw some sample images that look really cool at 1.4. What you're going to see in a 1.4 lens is clarity, color. The sharpness and clarity about the same thing. But you should expect to see that the colors are going to be better. Being that there's no moving elements, that's where you get your sharpness. But we'll see. 24 to me isn't wide enough for most things. Maybe shooting a concert, it may be interesting to use, but what happens when things change really quick? For what I do, I like having the versatility of a zoom lens. On the other hand, landscapers, I don't know how wide they normally shoot, but if they're going for color, you're going to get better color and clarity out of this 24 than you should probably get out of the 14 to 24 at 24 or the 24 to 70 at 24. Plus you don't have to shoot it at 1.4 all the time. For those landscape guys, they like shooting at 16, 18, 22, all those different high apertures, to give you nice clarity or distance, depth of field. But $2,200, you have to ask yourself, if you own every lens and money isn't an issue, buy whatever you want. 70 to 200, 2.8, $2,400, 23, depending on where you get it. Is that a more versatile lens for what you're doing? 70 to 200, 2.8. I don't know. I mean, for me, I would prefer to have the 70 to 200, 2.8 for the price. It's a more versatile lens. You're going to get a lot more out of it. I would like to see an 85-1.4 redo. I've been using my 85-1.4, the old one. It's a great lens, but I've noticed in low light situations, the color isn't as good as if I was using, say, the 70 to 200 or the 24 to 70. It's missing color. Maybe it's because it doesn't have those sick coatings or the nano coatings. But obviously a redo of that lens could possibly be the same price as the 20, maybe even less money than the 24 1.4. What makes that lens expensive is elements. You're letting a lot of light in and it's wide. I really think the 85-1.4 would come in at about the same price. But this is about the 24 1.4. So I don't see myself purchasing one anytime soon. I'd like to play with one. I emailed Nikon. Obviously, they don't have any right now, to see if they could send one for NPS review. I'll definitely try it out when it comes out. But for $2,200, what could you get for that? Well, you could get a 14 to 24 and have money to spare. You could get a 24 to 70 and have money to spare. Or you could just buy the 14 to 24 and the 24 to 70 and spend a little more but get two cool lenses. So, they put out nice stuff. I'm sure the 16 to 35 is going to be cool. It's going to be lighter. A lot of people are going to like that for traveling. Me, I don't look at weight as a deterrent. I look at quality of glass no matter what. So, I just hit 8 minutes on this. I hope this helps. But that's what you're looking at. Two cool lenses. Nikon does a nice job. That's awesome. I can't wait to play with some of them and see how they are. Not the 16 to 35 so much because it's a 4. But that's it. Any questions, responses? What do you think? What are you going to do? Are you going to, excuse me, hopefully not cough. Do you see yourself picking up a 24-1.4 or a 16 to 35? Let me know why, and that's about it. Catch you later. Have a good one.